Bit of a grinding close right now with all the gains that we sort of ramped up to in the last 10 minutes of trading coming pretty much out of the market, although we're still going to see some green arrows on these boards. You hear the closing bell. It is Friday, fortunately. July 31st as well, so the end of the week, the end of the month. Let's take a look at the action here as the market settles. Remember, these prices will move around a little bit as we settle into the end of the trade here, but the S&P 500 showing a very slight gain. A gain, however, nonetheless at 987 flat there. The Dow up just about 10 points at 9164, and the Nasdaq could not hold on to gains at the end of the day, falling about 0.25% to 1978.5. Of course, we may still see those numbers since they're so slight change around a little bit as far as the direction of the arrow. Let's get a breakdown of what drove the markets today. Suzanne O'Halloran joins us from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Jeff Kearns from our stocks team is here with us on set, and we still have Bill Greiner standing by from Scout Investment Advisors. Suzanne, though, I want to start with you down on the floor. Suzanne?
Thanks, Matt. You know, this rally today was very much a cyclical one, and that's pretty much what we saw for most of the week. The S&P, the numbers are still settling, but it looks like we're going to have a gain of about 7% for the month. Investors betting the second half of the year is certainly a growth story. Just to give you an example of where the growth is going to be, some of the material stocks. Alcoa was a winner today. Investors in betting the nation's largest aluminum producer will benefit from the improvement in the economy. Financial stocks, of course, were the strongest group this week. We were looking at a gain of at least 4%. And the post behind me, if you can see, is the Citigroup post. There's a lot of activity, as you can see behind me. Investors trying to snap up some of these financials here. Money center banks and the regional banks all contributed to the euphoria for some of the financials today. To give you another name, Bank of America did very well despite all the scrutiny that CEO Ken Lewis has been facing in the past few weeks. This was the strongest Dow stock today. No specific news today on Bank of America. This week we did learn that they will be closing thousands of branches. The company declined to give an exact number, and of course all the U.S. banks are raising fees for consumers. Sticking with financials, let's talk about General Electric as well, because General Electric had a tremendous week. The stock gained something like 10%. Not only is GE an economically sensitive stock, Matt, but they had their GE Capital meeting earlier in the week. They gave investors some reassuring comments about not needing to do an external capital raise. Plus, we got that regulatory help. Congressman Barney Frank telling Bloomberg News a couple of days ago that companies like GE that have a finance arm should certainly be allowed to keep those. So that does remove a little bit of a regulatory overhang that's been dogging companies like GE. Matt?
Suzanne, what are traders saying about next month, about next week? Trends to watch for the beginning of August, for the beginning of the week?
Well, one of the things that we could see typically at the beginning of the month, traders tell me we see some buying from mutual funds as they get in on some of the stocks they perhaps didn't buy this past month on the rally. So that could be a catalyst for momentum in the next first 3 days, I'm told. But also don't forget we have the employment report next week. And as we know, the economic data continues to be pretty mixed, even though today's GDP report was well received despite having some weak pockets. So those are the two major things that we know about that we can look for in terms of Monday.